Hi guys. Okay, so I felt in my heart that God had laid on me to post a video about my testimony about how I got my dance studio. And He laid that on my heart, and of course I didn't. And today I see that it was actually for me. 10 years ago, I was teaching dance at another place, and I had always wanted to own my own studio. When I grew up dancing, I loved the competition aspect of it. I always envisioned myself opening up a competition studio, and but I always wanted it to be something that meant more. Like, it's not just a studio, it's your home. I wanted everybody to feel accepted. I wanted everybody to feel welcome, and I always wanted I guess maybe the underdogs to win, because I felt like when I was growing up in a studio that I didn't fully get seen, and I wasn't always the best dancer. Actually, I wasn't the best dancer, or close to it, when I was younger. It wasn't until I got much older that I actually learned how to become a better dancer, and then I learned how to teach it. And I have always wanted my kids to get as much as they can at an early age so that they can excel. So about 10 years ago, it was actually January, which it is now, I had a dream. And at the time, I had 4 very small children, and I was working at a studio, not making very much money. And my husband was a government employee. He was Air Force also, but he's a government employee. And I had a dream, literally had a dream, that I was walking downtown in Waynesville, which is where I live, and I walked to a shop that was for sale. And when I walked in, so we walked into the shop in my dream, like an antique store. And if anybody's familiar with Waynesville, it was the old antique store that was Spencer's, and there was a huge, like, Uncle Sam in the yard. And so in my dream, I walk downtown, this place is for sale, and I walk inside with my husband, and I'm like, oh, this is where I'm gonna have my dance studio, and we're gonna open up my dance studio. And he walks around with me in my dream and is like, yeah, this will be perfect. Okay, again, we have no money. So I wake him up. When I woke up, it was literally a Saturday morning, and I hit him on the side of the shoulder and woke him up out of a dead sleep. And he's like, what? And I'm like, I had a dream that I'm gonna open my dance studio in town at that old Spencer's antique store. And he was like, okay, knowing we have no money, we're not gonna get a loan, nothing. And I'm like, can we go walk downtown? Mind you, it's January. And he's like, okay. So we go walk downtown, and it's not Spencer's anymore, and it's not for sale. And we walk in, and we're walking around, and I'm like, oh, this won't work. There's partitions up, there's cement floors, and again, it's a huge building, and I didn't know who owned it or anything else, and I'm like, this isn't gonna work. And my husband's like, great, it's not gonna work. Okay, so that was kind of the end of it, but I still felt like there was something different about that dream. It was real, that dream. Have you ever woken up and you felt like, man, that felt so real? It was different. So I kept that in mind. And not too long after that, I had this really weird dream that I was at my parents' house, and I was walking around the corner, and bless you, baby, and Trump was there. And I don't care what your political views are. This literally has nothing to do with mine. Literally, it was the most bizarre dream. Trump was there, and I walked around the corner, and he looked at me and he goes, Stephanie, I will fund your dance studio. Again, so bizarre, and it's a dream. Come on. And I'm telling my mother-in-law about this, and I'm laughing, and she goes, Trump? And I was like, yeah. And this is later on in the year at this point in time. I'm like, yeah, I don't know. And she goes, you know that Jesus takes the form of authority figures in dreams, right? And I said, he does? And she goes, Jesus told you he was going to fund your dance studio, Stephanie. Okay, so fast forward to about August of that year. So I had still been wanting to open my own studio, but nothing had come to fruition or anything. And we were going to church at this Baptist church that's now at the Older Dutchman, actually, if you're familiar with Waynesville. And they had a second building, which used to be part of a Curves, the ladies' fitness from years and years ago. But they were going to start renting this building out, and they're talking to the church members. And Robert and I just kind of looked at each other, and it just quite literally fell into play. And I said, I would love to rent it from you, but I can't guarantee that I'm going to have $1,400, or I can't remember exactly. I think it was $1,400 to rent this building from you. And if I'm able to, then I would love to be able to bring the people in and start a dance studio. But literally, I don't know if I'm going to have 10 people. And they talked about it and they were like, listen, go ahead, start, try, and you can always make up that first payment throughout the year if you can get people. Well, it literally just fell into place. So August of that year, I had a studio. I handed them a rent check by September. It was the craziest thing. I only had 32 people my first year, but I was amazed by that. It was just, I had a competition team, and so fast forward to 10 years down the road, and my girls that started my competition team, 2 of them are graduating. They're the last 2 that started my competition team with me, and man, they are amazing kids. Like, everybody here is amazing. But so I had 32 kids that first year. The second year, I ended up moving into a building over on Main Street, and that had 2 studio spaces. Still wasn't quite ideal, but it was fine. But you know what happened that very first year? Somebody walked in and signed their child up for dance. The owners of what used to be Spencer's Antiques, now called the Mercantile on Main. Very bizarre. I didn't know who they were. I didn't know anything about that. Guess where I am now? Not only did God fund my studio, God made a way for me to be in the building that He let me dream about. And it's crazy. So I was telling them about my dream before we officially moved into the building, and the husband was like, oh yeah, for sure. We believe in that. That's really cool. That's great. No, I mean, my first year, I had Walmart mirrors up because I didn't take out a loan. I wanted, if it was meant to be, it was going to happen. If it wasn't meant to be, it wasn't going to happen. And I was like, God, you're in control. You can do this for me. Whatever's meant to be will be. I had a pink and teal $5 mirrors from Walmart across my wall. I had 1 studio space my very first year. Second year, I had 2 studio spaces. Again, Walmart mirrors across the floor. 10 years down the road, I've got 125 students right now. I've got real mirrors in 2 studio spaces. I've got a 3rd space that we use for tumbling and small children. I've got a 4th space upstairs that we use for yoga and belly dance. God's real. God's in control. And God has made a way, and God is in my building today.